We are. Hey, good evening, everyone. We'll call to order the March 11th, 2025 Town of Oakland Commission meeting. If everybody could please stand for the pledge and stand for the invocation. Hey, release.
Hey, Commissioner Keller. Here. Commissioner Ramos. Vice Mayor Satterfield. And Commissioner McMullen's excused for the NLC conference. Mayor Taylor. Are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so first item on the agenda is a proclamation, and it's Government Finance Professionals Week, and we have a few of those in the room with us tonight. So, whereas the Florida Government Finance Officers Association is a professional association founded in 1937 and serves more than 3,300 professionals from state, county, and city governments, school districts, colleges and universities, special districts, and private firms. And whereas the FGFOA is dedicated to being your professional resource for providing opportunities through education, networking, leadership, and information. And this Government Finance Professionals Week, sponsored by the FGFOA and all of its members, governmental organizations, is a week-long series of activities aimed at recognizing government finance professionals as the vital services that they provide to our state and our community. Now, therefore, I, Shane Taylor, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Oakland, Florida, on behalf of the entire town commission, do hereby proclaim the week of March 17th through March 21st, 2025 as Government Finance Professionals Week in the town of Oakland, and extend our appreciation to all government finance professionals throughout the state and here in the town of Oakland for their hard work, dedication, and leadership. So we have a few people here. If you could stand. Gabby, Ty here, Ty. Fifi from the school is one, and then we have Lisa and Faith and Crystal. No one else. Hey, you're representing. Congratulations.
Gabby.
Thank you, Gabby, for counting the beans. We appreciate it. We can. You want to do it now? You want kind of? Okay, let's do a picture where she really wants it.
This is finance. How much is this picture going to cost?
$1 million.
All right, but if there are no objections, I would like to change up the agenda a little bit if we can. I'd like to move up under other policy matters, item E to discuss now. Is there any objections to doing that? Okay. All right. So Item E on other policy matters is the discussion of the town manager discussion. And what I'd like to do at this point is turn the gavel over to Vice Mayor.
Okay. All right. Other policy matters, town manager discussion. My guess is, Mayor Taylor has something to add.
I do, thank you. So as part of my duties as mayor, it's my job to recommend a town manager for the town. And my recommendation to the board is we appoint Elise Hui as the new town manager.
That's the form of a motion.
Not yet, not yet. So I'm reading off the script.
No, that's cheating.
I would like to, if anyone in the audience, open it up to anybody who would like to say anything. Yes, sir. Please state your name, address, and speak directly into the mic, please.
Wilkowski, 51 Vandermeer Street. Great decision.
Thank you, Ed. Anyone else? Okay, so with that, I'll make the motion. I'd like to make the motion that we authorize the town attorney's office to negotiate an employment contract with Elise, with the contract to specify that Elise is to be hired as town manager at the starting maximum salary of $135,000 with a 15% contribution towards retirement by the town and a vehicle allowance of $230.77 per biweekly pay period, and authorize the town attorney to me to execute that.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion here?
Just a statement.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Great decision. I love the fact that we don't have to do turnover and you've been already almost as a manager, and I'm really proud that you're there. But I do request that we, expedite having an assistant manager, because I wouldn't want you carrying so many hats and getting overwhelmed. You need an assistant, you need a clerk, you need some help. Burnout.
I would second that. Second that.
All right, before I call for the vote, is there anything else from the audience? I'll bring it back to the table and call for the vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It looks like we have a manager. Congratulations. And I will add my comments too. I speak for me at this point, but I'm sure I speak for all of us, that there's complete faith in what you do. You've proven yourself over and over again. And I personally would be proud to call you our town manager.
Congratulations.
And with that, I will turn the gavel back over to the mayor.
All right, thank you. Congratulations, Elise. So back on to the agenda. We'll move to the consent agenda, and on our consent agenda nights are item A, minutes from the 2/25/25 Town Commission regular meeting. Item B, agreement for the traffic enforcement from John's Landing HOA. Item C, acceptance of infrastructure Oakland Park for Phase 6B2 and 6B3. Just to clarify, Mike, that is the current already constructed area. And D, Public Works request to increase budget for a vehicle. And very exciting, item E, donation acceptance of 2 police vehicles. And if we could, I'd like to have the chief just kind of real quick tell us about that and how that came about. Well, we'll get you one.
Okay, so we, as discussed with Elise, have had some serious problems with our cars. The most recent issue with one of the cars is going to take up 66% of our remaining budget, and that's a huge problem. Lieutenant Castro was kind enough to meet with the former chief of Claremont now, I guess, Chuck Broadway, who just said, hey, we just ordered some new cars. We're taking delivery of them. Instead of us selling those at auction, we can donate 2 to you. So they're fully upfitted. The only thing we have to do is pay for the decals. They're taking Claremont off and put Oakland on. But the cars are already wrapped the same color scheme as ours, everything. It's going to cost $950 per car for us to own good, working, serviceable cars. So that's going to help with the problem. We're down. We have 1 car. So if any police car goes down, we then have no cars left. So Claremont's really helping us and stepping up to help their neighbor to stay in service. Yeah, great. I can't thank them enough.
All right, thank you. I think that's a very wise investment there to accept those. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Make the motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Moving on to other policy matters, and this is the Kimley Horn scope of services for a Tubb Street and the Town Center area. So Brad Cornelius with Wade Trim.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'm Brad Cornelius with Wade Trim, serving as your contractor town planner. I'm just going to do a quick introduction of this item. As the mayor said, this is for your consideration for a scope of services and work by Kimley Horn Associates. Katie McGruder is here with Kimley Horn. And it's basically looking at your Tubb Street corridor from State Road 50 up to the West Orange Trail. Moving forward with the Complete Streets program that you had already started many years ago, as well as a visioning process to come up with what I would say a better plan for that corridor. But that's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to let Katie go through the project that they're proposing.
Hi there, I'm Katie Magruder with Kimley Horn, and we will be working with the scope that you guys have been provided, and we'll be working with Dix Height, and David is here today from that group. So if you've read through the scope, task one is a visioning effort. So it includes a workshop as well as conceptual designs and a final vision plan that Kimley Horn will be a part of the visioning process, but then we will come behind them and implement that into an overlay district that will be put into the land development code. And so this will include edits to the text of the land development code, as well as potentially a zoning map amendment to make sure that that overlay gets applied to all of those properties in the study area. And it will also include a future land use map amendment to make sure they have consistent future land use and zoning, as well as a text amendment to the comprehensive plan. And the reason that all of those are needed is because the regulations right now are spread out between both the comprehensive plan and the land development code. So our effort will create a new overlay where all of the standards are in one place. And there's not a design manual that you have to go pull off the shelf. So the goal here is to simplify and enact what becomes of that vision plan. So wider sidewalks, as you mentioned, in the complete streets, potential multimodal connectivity from the trail. In our discussions, we talked about there being 3 different sub-districts, so it doesn't have to look the same for that entire study area. So there may be a different application from, let's say, the trail to maybe Oakland Avenue down to Sadler Avenue, and then Sadler to 50, which is, the most intense and commercial. So that is the scope. We are also including in here an effort for Kimley Horn's civil engineering group to be part of that visioning, as well as offer coordination and advice about potential engineering tactics that are suggested through the visioning plan, so that we could maybe have a cost associated to that design, so that the vision plan really ends up being something that is implementable, feasible. And then the last piece that I haven't spoken about is something that I think is unique to Kimley Horn. We have internal grant specialists. So part of our effort will include a matrix of opportunities for funding by third parties to help fund the plan. So that'll just be a matrix of availability. And then if you guys want to take that further, we offer, administration of those grants, et cetera. But this will just be a tool of listed and provided financial potential funders. Did you all have any questions?
Yeah, anybody have any questions about please? go.
Sure.
So first and foremost, and I understand that there may be a grant aspect later on, but initially this is 150. And I'm wondering, this is not a currently budgeted item, my understanding, or do we have funding to cover this?
We do have some money in the transportation impact fees that we can use to help fund this.
No.
In reserves for transportation, we have over 1 million, but I believe this is gonna be funded out of a current line item that we have. Am I right, Parker? Yeah, so it's technically budgeted. It's just, it's a catch-all for any kind of studies that we have, I'm pretty sure.
Because I was just wondering about that, if there's possible grant funding to get a project, because this is just the project to determine the project, right? So again, I understand that you guys will possibly help us with some grant aspect of that, but I just want to make sure, we just fortunately getting cars now. But I had just ran into one of our officers just a couple weeks ago and introduced myself, and he was like, "Hey, we need cars." So I was really excited to hear that. He will remain nameless. But I just want to make sure that it is something that we have funding for, because I think it's a lovely idea. I think that it'd be great to have a corridor that, is an entrance to our town and highlights our town in the way we would like it to be. I just want to make sure that we're being mindful of.
The project that Katie would be doing for town, you will get a touchable product at the end. Because what they are doing is coming forward with a comprehensive plan amendment, as well as rezonings and updates to the maps to take care of all this internal conflict that we're seeing more often. As we get more and more development coming into the town, more of these things pop up out of it. So what we will have through this process is updates to those parts of the code that have become very difficult to deal with. So you will have a concrete product as well, and not just a vision.
I got a question. Just build on Commissioner Keller. What's the lead time as soon as we start? Because you said 3 different stages for the 100,000. What's the lead time? How long this process is going to take to get to the finish line? Is this going to take this year into next year?
We will probably get into 2026, and that's just the basis of a future land use map amendment. It takes about 6 to 8 months to go through any sort of future land use map amendment and then add the text amendment. These will have to be transmitted to both the county and the state. There is a component of a transportation study that will support that future land use map amendment. So we probably will not kick off on the actual land development code and future land use map amendments until such time that the vision plan is at least moving to its final version. We want to make sure that we're implementing the final version. So depending on how quickly that visioning process could go, I do think we might get into the early parts of 2026 to get to final.
And the grant specialists that will help fund would be the civil and some of the parts of the work done, not necessarily the 154,000, correct? Am I correct in saying that?
Correct. So the grant funding opportunities will be for much larger amounts, like community block grants, et cetera, things that will help actually implement like a stormwater master plan or dealing with sewer and potable water and things that you guys are working on for the utilities and infrastructure piece. Those funding opportunities will be focused on those implementation efforts.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited about this, especially the workshops, having the community re-involved with the new layout of, Sub Street, Oakland, Colonial, because it's been a long time since we've had, like Brad said, confusion with developers coming in here. What can they do? What they don't want to do? And the residents wanting to see something, different from what we had implemented 10 years ago.
Yeah, so it'll be building on those
Yeah.
efforts that you've done. We're really excited to be a part of it.
Thank you.
So I would say, I'm sorry, Mike. I will say that, when we looked in this, if everybody recalls, several years ago, they did a visioning session for Oakland Avenue in a streetscape session, and it was absolutely phenomenal and something that we want to implement. But when we started looking at the development down through any developer or any property owner that had to come into town to want to do a project on Tubb Street, say from Oakland Avenue to 50, it's just, our land development code just makes it very, very difficult for anybody to do anything, if they can do anything at all. So this helps cleans it up. This helps clean it up for them. Second of all, that we have to remember is when we do this infrastructure and we do this type of development, we have development down Tubb Street. We've got to put things in place as far as stormwater retention as well. So we have a duty to capture that stormwater. And there may be instances where the private owner captures stormwater on his property, but then when you start putting in streets and curbs and gutters, you've got to find a place for this. So this study, not only will it make pretty pictures, but they'll also look at, hey, how do you get that storm water down to here and where we're going to put it? Also, looking at, green infrastructure. If you've ever been down the road and you see these planters on the side of a road where the water goes into it and it gets filtered out by plants. So it's that type of thing to try to, be good stewards of the environment as well. And it goes hand in hand with the nature preserve that we so much support. So I think this is a step in the right direction to get it going. And then from there, hopefully this is the spark that kind of starts everything off for us down Tubb Street. That's the goal.
I'm good. Over and over.
All right. All right.
My question was money.
Yeah. Yep. That was one of the first questions I asked. That was, do we have money? So I will say, if anybody in the audience have any comments or questions or anything about it? No? Sounds all right? Okay. We'll bring it back here. Oh, sorry.
If I may, if the motion is going to be to approve the scope of services and contract here tonight, the town has a standard contract addendum that we advise be added on to contracts with vendors or service providers. There is not such an addendum attached to this contract. And so I would ask that the motion be to approve the Kimley Horn scope of services and contract with the addition of that standard contract addendum by the town attorney's office.
Understood. Okay. And just so it's out in the open, Himley Horn is an engineering firm, one of many engineering firms that the town uses on other projects throughout the town. So they've been vetted for their services. So with that, anybody would like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion that we accept Kimberly Horn scope of service with contract and the additional contract.
Okay, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. That's down. All right, Briley Farms Phase 1B final plat. Brad, how are we doing again?
So Mayor, again, Brad Quinnis, Way Trim, your contractor town planner. The next item we have for you is the final plat for Briley Farms Phase 1B. I'm sure as you all remember, Briley Farms, the project here on the north side of town. This is the plat for Phase 1B. This is the part of the project that the town commission in 2022, you approved the preliminary subdivision plan. It's 27 single-family lots, as well as open space tract for wetlands and a wetland and conservation easement on this property. This plat that's proposed for your approval this evening is consistent with what was approved in 2022 under the preliminary subdivision plan. We've been reviewing it by the town attorneys reviewed it. Mike Parker's reviewed it. Also, the town surveyor has reviewed it, and we've reviewed it, and we have found it all compliant with the requirements for final platting. So that is before you this evening for your approval. Again, it's 27 single-family lots. In terms of the dedications, I do want to just make this clear for everyone. The town will have the ownership and maintenance for the roads, right-of-ways, and water and sewer utilities. The HOA will be privately maintaining all the stormwater system and that part of the subdivision. They'll have those responsibilities. One of the questions the mayor asked, and I'll address it here just so everybody understands. You do see on the plat, there's a tract that's on the lake on the west side of the project that's called Open Space Tract 1. In the notes and dedications on that plat, that tract is, all the development rights for that tract are given to the St. Johns River Water Management. So the developer doesn't have any development rights on that tract. They're all held by the Water Management District because there's a reason for that to be there. If they would try to do something on there, the developer, they would have to go through the Water Management District, get them to approve it first. They would also still have to come through us as a town for approval, because it's a development. They'd require permitting, and it may require to come back to you depending on what they're doing. So I don't think there's a need for the town to be referenced there, because it still has to come through us anyhow, if they would do something. But it would be difficult because it is, all the rights are given to the Water Management District. The other part is the conservation and wetland easement that's on those lakefront lots that are there. When you look at the plat, you'll see about half of those lots are within that conservation easement, wetland easement. And there's also a upland buffer there. That's a requirement of their environmental resource permit through the Water Management District, as well as permitting through the town. And the question was, could they put a dock through there? So they potentially could, but the process would be significant. So again, because that's an easement in favor of the Water Management District, they would have to get their approval first for what they would be doing. If they get that approval, then under your code, they also have, and the county charter, they have to get approval by Orange County Environmental Protection. And then they would come to the town to get a permit through the town, be compliant with the town requirement. So it's possible, but there's a lot of checks and balances going through before that could happen to assure that when they put that in, it doesn't cause environmental harm in the interest of that easement. So those are the two points I wanted to make. With that, I have no other things to say. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Brad, for clarifying
Sir.
those questions that I had. Any questions from anybody?
And the dock is for Briley Farms. It's not public, correct?
Correct. Yeah, for the individual lot owners. Yes, sir.
And obviously going through that area would require very specific specifications for a dock if it is a wetland.
Yeah, generally, I know with Orange County
Conservation area.
environmental protection, like the walkway can't be, I believe it's 4 feet, more than 4 feet wide. So all those limitations. Yes, ma'am.
In the end, it would end up with us to decide.
And at the end of the day, we're the one that would be issuing the final permit. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone have any questions out in the audience? Okay, hearing none, bring it back to the table. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Much.
Thank you, Brad. Okay, so now we're on to a road discussion, and it's our, today we made a commitment from our last meeting that we would have a decision made on the material to use for our dirt roads that are problematic to us. So I think we have several choices that were out there, and I don't know if everybody had a chance to drive by and drive on them and offer an opinion of what you think. I will preference this discussion as picking the material that we think is best suited for what we want to do. But you know, not every road is going to probably get that treatment. There are some roads that do not require that treatment, but I think starting to look at the heavily traveled roads or the roads that are the worst roads out there, probably first on the list. And we'll leave that up to Public Works to provide a schedule on all that. So with that being said, we'll have some discussion on that. Anybody want to start?
Be happy to start. So I've been doing my little, I'm calling it my road research. I've been driving around town for a couple of reasons. One, trying to get more familiar with the areas of town so that when they come up in discussions, I'm more familiar with the town, but also the roads. I know it's an important discussion. I actually went down Hull on my way to the meeting this afternoon. I think that the millings seem to be a good direction. However, I have concern that it's only been not quite 2 months since that was put down. And if you drive down Hull versus Petrus, Hull is having very different wear on that road versus Petrus, because I actually stopped and spoke to one of the residents on Hull the other day and said, what do you think? And he said, better than what we've had in the past. But as I noticed as I was driving, he mentioned that there is some ruts happening in it. And I know that one of the things we talked about is how it kind of looks a little more natural for lack of a better word, with time. And we're in our best weather of our seasons. So I think that, I know everybody wants a quick solution and we need to make a commitment to our residents, but I also think we owe a commitment to our residents to do our due diligence and actually give something a rainy season, a little more heat season, to kind of see how that product is going to last during those type of weather. Because like I said, right now it's pretty amazing weather. We all live here, but I just would be concerned on making a final decision on something that we haven't really seen through at least 6 months. I know that may not be popular, but we've tried and failed at so many things. I just don't want to see us continue to throw kind of good money out like that.
Thank you. Mike, you got any questions or
Um,
comments?
I like what we've done on Petrus. I do, now that you've said it, I do agree that it's wearing a little more. Might be, appropriate. We can pick one if we want, and we can try one more if the conversation, maybe with Elise, we've only got enough for one more section anyway for this year, and that's what we would do, so maybe we work on doing that gives season before we go into the next, cycle, budget, move forward with the rest of it. If we have something to
I agree with what Commissioner Keller and Commissioner Mike Satterfield said. I think that we should wait, till we go through a few more seasons, at least the rainy season and the heat. So I did test all these out with my kids on bikes, on a golf cart, and my nieces pushing their, 2-year-old on a baby stroller to see which one would work out. And I found that the asphalt millings #2, the recycled one, worked pretty good, but you're right, Hall Avenue is wearing out quicker because of the traffic versus on Gully. But I like to see what, based on also talking to some of the residents, is the heat. One of these days was hot, one of those days was hot, and you could smell it, the petroleum, which I think, Mike, you said it would wear out, the petroleum smell. So again, if we go through the month of July when it's super hot, asphalt tends to get, sticky during the heat, and see how that holds up in rainy season. So I think you're right, Commissioner Keller. We owe it to the residents to let it get tested through the seasons and then make a final decision maybe at the end of the year. Feel about it. Talk to the residents who live there will tell you, this is working out. We had the most awful July ever. Sticks to the cars. If it doesn't, if it makes the cut, then it makes the cut. We can move forward. I like the last one here, #2. More even.
One thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to try to go through that, having something. I hate these things, but they work, don't they? So it's, is having different things in different parts of town. Whatever we decide on, we need to be consistent with. I think as we go, through the years, we're going to be a lot better off if it's the same thing on all the roads, rather than this one has maybe this and then this one has something different.
Agreed. We definitely need to find a solution that works. Again, I just would like to see us give it a little more time. I know everybody wants it now, but if we do this and for some reason it doesn't make it the rainy season, we're back. So even though it's a challenge, it is, I feel, in the best interest of, again, we only have enough money to do like one more road on this year's budget. So even if we approve this, we're not going to do and we're never going to do every road in town. So is kind of the plan. So I think a few more months would be worth making sure that it is the right material before we continue with more roads.
If this one works, it's really nice.
Yeah.
It has a historical feel, it has a historical look, and, I tested it with all the kids on bikes. And I went on other streets and they say, well, this is the best one to ride on. It's nice and smooth for now.
I will say, for me, the asphalt millings too, that's the one, and that's the one that's on Petrus and Hall. And I believe we discussed this at the very beginning, that the key was to try to knock down the dust, is what it was. And that material definitely is taking that. We knew all along when we put this down, the way it was put down, it looked great. It compacted down really well with the asphalt machine. It's kind of what they put it down with. With, and we also had every knowledge that it was going to spread out and it was going to dissipate from its packed state. That's just something that it's going to do. I feel that it's doing what we set out to do, and I'm very confident in utilizing that material for another road. I think, when the heat hits it with that little bit of asphalt or oil or petroleum that's got in it, it will probably solidify a little bit, kind of pack tighter together and stuff. There will be times where Public Works will have to go out and fill a rut or a hole or whatever. It's not asphalt, and it's not permanent asphalt. It's basically rocks with tar on them. It's essentially what we're doing. I don't know, for me, my choice would be the last one, the asphalt millings too. And make that the selected material to use. And maybe we wait, like you said, we have enough in the budget for one more road and then kind of schedule it out for Public Works in our next budget cycle and see what happens. Rainy season's coming up to us here soon, so we'll see how that runs. But so far, I know on Petrus, just hanging out there at the Oakland Center, Oakland Heritage Center, that the dust is definitely not as bad as what it used to be.
And on the whole, this whole is very different.
Hole was done probably, Mike, you think a month ahead, maybe, or that?
Yeah, I think the part of Hull between Oakland Avenue and Cross was a different material, so it might be a little rougher. It's a larger pieces than that. It's not as tightly compactable as the other. So I heard y'all. I think you got a great idea. We'll wait and see, and maybe we'll move forward with one more street. We have like spend on that, and then we'll give it a season and see what happens. I definitely like it.
Yeah.
I think it looks great. I
Yeah.
just don't want us to just spill it.
Yeah, I think after this, we're out of options.
We could make dirt roads. It'd be great.
Right. Okay, so with that, does anybody have any discussions? Kevin?
Kevin Coxville. And just a couple of quick comments. Number one was, Mike, are you familiar between the West Orange Trail and Riley, where Walker Street is? There's a lot of gravel there. We were lucky to have, used to be nice and smooth, but our neighbor during the street on the house, and they had skid steer toward the street, and really bumpy. I'm concerned about the stuff we make. Want to skid steer a storm, and now that we've got some time, it's before we really go paving a lot of stuff. You might want to. How do we prevent these types of folks?
So I think the easy quick answer is some streets will require traditional paving, and it's a possibility that will, just like East Tension is going to require full, thickness and that. And I think that'll have to be looked at as well. But if it's something that can be straightened out, I'll send somebody. We can get it.
Well, I mean, I'm not so concerned about our street. I'm just worried about the millings because, it's not as hard as.
Right.
And,
Especially on a slope.
Are we gonna be running the skids here on this number 2 milling? We
No.
shouldn't, right?
No, what I mean is during storm cleanup.
Oh,
Storm clean
Yeah,
and storm cleanup.
Anyway, so I thought, how do you do that? Good time to think about.
But for the short term, it definitely will take care of the dust. And honestly, that's what we originally looked at, dust control.
Well,
Thanks, Kevin.
we'll have time to go through a season of hurricane. Hopefully, we don't have to worry about it, but, but if we do, we'll be able to see that as we move forward into the phase of it.
Hi, I'm Dave Helsel. I live at 21 North Campus, so I'm at the corner of Mission and Daniel. And yeah, so we can't even sit out on our patio. It's so dusty all the time. I know you've heard a lot of complaints. I'm even concerned about health. I'm outside all the time. My wife, we're out, so are all of our neighbors. And we're inhaling this stuff like crazy. So I challenge you, by waiting, what are you really going to learn? You know, you already, as you said, Mayor, there are no other options. So the solution, or this is meant to treat dust. It's not, you're not going to put down a perfect road surface here. So what are we going to find? It's going to have some ruts? Yes, it's going to, but is it still containing the dust? I mean, I just encourage you to not lose the original vision of what the purpose was in doing this at all. If you want perfect roads, then we might as well save up and pave them. So, you know, it's something that we were really looking forward to getting addressed when we saw Petrus, and so I'm a little bit disheartened to hear that we're just going to wait. So I just challenge the logic. What are we really going to learn after rain? It dissipates. Is that going to change our options? I don't think so. So we probably still go with number 2 to contain the dust. There is some sense of urgency that I'm trying to instill. I appreciate it.
Understand. Thank you. Sir.
Gary Merrick. I live catty corner from Dave at 102 North Daniels. And what I'd like to see happen, if possible, that would help with the dust, you know, we get millions, is if the town could put a 4-way stop at Hinch and Daniel. Right now, there's a free path from the bike trail all the way to Open Avenue. The rate of speed cars travel, the worst offenders are FedEx, Amazon, and UPS, but some residents, but mostly the delivery trucks. And now we have extra traffic because of the Bride construction. So if we could possibly get a 4-way stop put there, now it's just stop on Hinchin. If we can stop Daniels, that would at least slow them down to stop at Hinchin, then open it. Okay.
Noted. Thank you.
Ed?
Kulakowski, 51 Vandermeer. As I sit and listen to the discussion, it seems to me like number 2 is a good choice because it's least expensive. But it also seems to me like we're talking about a Band-Aid here. We've had so much growth in Oakland. And while we would like the notion of dirt roads, we don't like all the stuff that goes along with it, like dust. And so doing the number 2 millings without a plan to go ahead with paving at least some number of the heaviest used roads would be short-sighted on the part of the town. I think this needs a 2-part solution. One, to mitigate the dust today, but that's not going to last. We are going to get storms. We're going to get skid steers. It is going to get rutted. So, and there will be more traffic as people move into the developments that are underway now. So I think that we need a 2-part phase here, and that we really need to be planning for paving the busiest streets that we have and leaving the millings only on the least used roads. It won't be this year. We want to control the dust for now, but I think we need to have a plan and a budget put forward to really address the long-term solution of the busiest roads that we have. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Scott Wren, 305 Edge Grove. A couple of people have already brought up the issues that I've noted talking about. The biggest concern is with the skid steers when the hurricanes come, is they do 360s, 180s, and they will tear the living daylight out of those number 2 milling. I wish we had a rubber tracked skid steer, take it over on these roads and do some 180s on it. Let's see how it holds up. I just don't think that it's going to hold up. So my question was, are those repairable? Do we end up with a surface that's reasonably smooth? the original contractor that did the millings over on this side of town, the ends of that road are beautiful. In the middle where it was lumpy and the town had to come in and take the grader and knock it down, or I don't know what they knocked it down with to smooth it out. The ends of that road was beautiful, and it seems to be a lot more firm, a lot stronger than the asphalt mill. The other thing I don't see on the list is when we talk about paving, in Florida, you have 20+ years. There's roads in our town that have the traffic that we do could probably last 30 years. So for saving $1.67 at today's rates to spend $1, it's not a smart idea and it's not going to solve anything in the future. Star Street over here is beautiful. There's no curbs. It gets dusty with our roads that are here. And when it's done, it just looks like a rural road. And it's going to have, we know it's going to last. Skid steers do turn on that. They don't have issues. I know somebody brought up, we want our roads to be uniform. I think that's one of the nicest things, that we stop putting down different surfaces. Since I've been here, I've collected, we have 5 different materials that were put down on Edgegrove. If we add the millings and the road, or the rocks, the granite, I believe that Commissioner Ramos put in front of his yard, that brings us to 7 different materials that Oakland has put down on the roads. It's awful. So in the beginning, I liked the shells that we got in front of our road because it was a nice, smooth surface. You know what? Neighbors came out with their kids. There were more people walking on that road after we got that surface change than ever before. The other roads around Edgegrove are not walkable, and dumping rocks on it doesn't help. So when the potholes formed in Edgegrove, the town dumped rocks on it. So today they came down and graded the roads. Now we have loose rocks scattered all the way down Edgegrove, and we've lost the nice uniform surface that, you know, was in the first test. It's just, I know the town doesn't want to talk about, the P word is a bad word to talk about, but the rest of the world has kind of figured out that paving is the way to go. We are not going to have sidewalks in Oakland. So you mentioned how you went out and tested the surfaces with a baby stroller and kids on bikes. Our roads are our sidewalks for the town as well. So I do know that the millings are smooth and, you know, hopefully would not get destroyed when the hurricanes are cleaned up by the skid steers and that. That's my only thing. I would love to see better prep of the road surface underneath. That was one of the downfalls of Edgegrove. The potholes are just going to reappear by throwing materials over it. That lower surface needs to be dug up and crowned before we put new materials on it. And then back to the real matter at hand, people talk about the dust. I did with my own money some lab analysis of the materials that were in Edgegrove. It's the same for Vic. It's the same for Arrington and Mathersmith. Those roads contain crushed concrete. They contain granite. They contain recycled materials. Every time the cars drive on these, they crush it up. The problem with our roads is they contain crystalline silica. So I took the lightest material that I could get off of Edgegrove and set it to a lab. They sent me back the analysis of what that material was. About 60% of that material came up as containing the silica itself. Mica, quartz, calcite doesn't. So it gave me the materials that was on the road, what the natural materials were. The second stage of that is actually doing a silica analysis. And to do a bulk silica analysis, there's 3 types of silica they can test for. I talked to them about what we had, and I said, what's the one that's going to show the most? Because I couldn't pay for all 3 tests. I paid for 1. So they did a bulk silica analysis for quartz. The sample came back, it contained 37% silica. Now, there are further tests that can be done to find out whether that's respiratable silica, but it is a breathing hazard. Anybody that's outside, anybody that's walking their dogs, when the Amazon trucks and everybody rolls by, if you're breathing that cloud of dust, you are breathing in a known carcinogen. on the back of any bag of concrete. Big things. Do not breathe the dust. So if we don't come up with a solution, a year and a half ago, I came in and said, there are dust mitigation things that we can do right away. It's liquid treatment. It doesn't come to my head right now. The calcium chloride's one. I think magnesium chloride's another. It gets sprayed down as a liquid. I tested it on the old road surface that was in front of my house. Worked great. You probably put it down once or twice in the dry season, and it'll last for quite a long time. There was many other places that I would live. They treat it once or twice a year, keeps the dust down tremendously. But it is something you'd need a liquid bulk container, and you'd have to spray it on the roads. That's the way it goes down. But that is another option in the meantime while we decide whether we're going to pave or use the millings if they're going to hold up to our hurricanes and things like that. So it is an option. So, thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Sign 306 East Vic Avenue. As I hear the discussion tonight, I'm glad that did pick product. I'm disappointed in the follow through with a scheduled process to get this done. And based on what I heard tonight, I'm going to suggest maybe that town commissioners view this as an emergency situation and do what we can do to adjust and make this a #1 priority over development, over community support things, over everything. This is really intolerable at this point. And to spread it out over years to mitigate just the dust, very disappointing. So I'm suggesting that there be a group of people that can really analyze this and figure out what we can do. Heard some other ideas tonight that haven't been talked about, and make this a health issue for the town. Make it a priority. I don't know how to do that. Probably, maybe you guys don't know either, but there are times when government has to modify budgets and priorities and accomplish something in a hurry. Tonight, I didn't hear about accomplishing something in a hurry. Personally, to know that I got to wait another year at least to stop dust off of Vic, just, to me, it's intolerable. Any thoughts or ideas about that, or?
Yeah, for me, I don't believe there's a reason to wait. That material's the material. And John, you live on that street. Would you like to see that material on your street? Now, I will say this. There was conversation about asphalt, an asphalt street. Asphalt costs a lot of money, a lot more, because put asphalt down, you just can't come out with a machine and lay it on top of the road. There's grading that's got to be done. There's crowning that has to be done. There's sub base and subgrades and all that stuff. And it costs anywhere from $15 to $20 square yard to put down asphalt is about the rate. That's a lot of money for a road. From what I've seen and in my experience, seeing this material, previous applications, not so much here in town, but using this material, it works. Our goal is to cut down on the dust. This is the material that's to use. Me putting my neck on the line on what's going on, but as far as your time frame for that, I think again, we here on the table we don't control we control, but we don't control the schedule. and the stats. We can look at the budget and rob Peter to pay Paul. It becomes that, or we all simply look at it like we had to do with the fire department. And we say, everybody, we're going to have to raise the millage to pay for this, or do an assessment to those that want to sit there and go, hey, I live on this street. I want to get paved. Okay, well, it's going to cost us X amount of dollars in each resident. It's fair, I think. The town doesn't have the money. The town doesn't have the money to do it. But I think, John, I agree with you. We talked about it a lot. And we tried different materials and different methods. And it's time to stop talking and start acting and trying it out. We tried it out on a couple roads. My colleagues up here may feel differently, but if we're seriously talking about the asphalt roads, we made the decision here on the table to asphalt East Henshin, and it's running from Star Street to Winter's Landing. And the reason that decision was made was its use. It was getting a heck of a lot of use for morning time school and afternoon and during the day. And that road was that's probably the worst road in town, as far as the rock that's there and the dust and all that stuff. So the conscious decision was made. We need to asphalt that road and to create, David, what you said, like Star is a rural road. It's only going to be as wide as what Petrus is through there. And you got an oncoming car to him, you got to pull over and yield to your guy. And there's no reason to go faster than posted speed limit of 20 miles an hour down through there. So I would push tonight for Public Works to come up with a schedule and say, how much do we have right now? And when can we get going? And what roads are needed to get it done?
I would ask that you add, scrutinizing the budget, make this a, for lack of a better word, health priority. Several citizens tonight say that. Or see what we can do. Look at mitigation of the dust and also create a long-term plan for either maintenance of the two millings or, paving with real asphalt other areas as things change.
Thank you, John. I agree with what the mayor has said, everything that he said. And without a special assessment in place, the emergency to act fast, like people on Henshin and Daniels, Gary, yourself on Vic, this number 2 millings will be the fastest way to do it, to satisfy everybody. There's 5 miles. We're not talking about just a few, there's a lot of roads. Asphalt would definitely head towards a special assessment. And I don't know, the whole town would have to vote on it to do that. But this number 2 millions, we can act on it very fast and start picking the streets as soon as possible. Mike, you know which ones have more traffic than others. We pick Hall because it has a lot of traffic. We did full asphalt on Henshin, East Henshin, because it has a lot of traffic. So there could be a handful of full asphalt that has a lot of traffic like we did Star. But for the most part, we can act very fast on this number 2 millions if we all agree on it. I agree on it. I agree with what the mayor said.
Well, and here was the deal on the waiting was really only because of the money. It does, some people had made some comments about how it's going to hold up through, the storms in the season. I agree with that. As it worked out, the money we have can only do 1 or 2 more roads anyway, so we would have got through that time to get through it. But I wouldn't suggest we go multiple years over it either, John, the same way. I think, and this is probably going to be a very unpopular sentence, when we get to the end of it, we're going to end up with paved roads as Oakland gets completely built out in the end. And as much as I don't want to do that, I think that's going to be where it's going to end up swinging. And I'm willing to try this myself too and see what we do to get it, and hope that it doesn't go that way. But my gut just tells me from doing this for so long that I was at the start of this, and you were with us, John, in the very beginning of it, where if you even said paved roads, you got hung in the middle of the street. And we've come, and now we've got all these other cars coming, we've got all these trucks coming, we've got everything else built out. So it's leaning more and more and more. We're gonna asphalt Henshin, little by little, and it might not be in the next 5 years, it might not be in the next 10 years, but before it's all said and done, Oakland will probably end up, being paved. We need to put that off as long as we possibly can, in my opinion, but that's where it's probably gonna end up. So if we can figure out the money for this, I don't think we have anything to lose. We'll probably spend a little, good after bad if it doesn't hold up to the storms and what we're talking about, but
What
you're
I
right.
understand, the number two asphalt millings is fairly easy to repair. It's also possibly a good base for eventually paving.
So it won't be lost money. You're right.
It's not exactly like starting over.
So we really have nothing to lose by going with it.
As a matter of fact, we have more to gain because if we do all asphalt and it does take 5, 10, 12 years to get there, the health is at risk for all our citizens, as Gary or was it Scott mentioned, right? So if we do the number two millings, we take care of the health. We actually start off with our base that's going to be ready for asphalt in the future. Eventually, we'll catch up to that with the asphalt and the money.
So I'm just asking to accelerate this whole process. You're making a decision on the material, that's great. I don't think we need to wait till after summer to see if it's hot or whatever. It's going to be what it is. And press forward to look at how to throw more money at this to get it done quicker and faster. Also, as you pick out some roads and you wait, people are going to be like, how come we didn't get our road look? What's the plan? What's really not a plan yet to inform the citizens here how this is going to go. That makes people a little bit uneasy. Is that?
I think I think it's all fair. What you're saying is it's fair. And it's time. I mean, we, like you said, we've talked about this for a while. We know the home deliveries are the culprits and the material we have, it's not like Mike said back 20 years ago, it's changed. I will say just to find out what we can do, perhaps by the next meeting, we can have Gabby and Mike get together and find out what do we have? Is there anything shifting that we can do to grab? And then we need to probably isolate what roads. Like you said, it's not, and again, I'm going to stress it's not going to be every single road. And it does not need to be every single road.
Right.
When it goes.
Has to be some.
It's got it, and I 100% agree.
I'll get on the committee to help you pick roads if you.
Yeah.
want.
Here,
You don't-
here, let me guess.
No committee. Yeah.
Right now, we got a third road coming, so we can add more roads this year and then see how much we can push it. To start, like John said, tell the citizens, hey, look, we're gonna do 5, 6. Next year, we're gonna do 10. Next time, we bring it up so they can start having something to look at and say, this is my road's coming this year. That's what they need.
And if you look at, if you ride and you look, there's not a lot of dirt roads that aren't already taken care of, when you think about it. There's really not a lot
No,
to do.
I know there's an area that's pretty bad with some.
They are.
Stuff.
Yeah. You personally know.
My neighbors used to over there.
Yeah.
We could ban Prime, Amazon, UPS, and everyone else here, make that a motion. No more deliveries.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
More deliveries.
Yeah. You don't live on a dirt road. I'm just kidding.
Jean Robinson, and I live on West Vic, which is a dirt road. And I'm just wondering, when you keep saying we are not going to pave all the roads, how are you going to make that decision? For example, we don't have a whole lot of street, well, East Vic is paved crappy, not paved, but we have nothing. So if you're the house on that road that you want to go walk your dog or whatever, and it's dusty, and they say, and you guys say, that's something we're going to pave. I mean, what is the how are you going to choose that? To decide, because really it's the person that lives on that road, they're the one who's getting the advantage or the disadvantage. No one else is on that road. You know, the only people that really matters the most are the ones that live on that road. We're the ones who have to deal with the dust. We're the ones who have to deal with all that stuff. So I guess my question is, first, why not do the millings on all the roads?
So,
Why are we gonna pick certain roads we're not gonna do? That's
so I think some roads are more traveled heavily, like yours, agreed, because the park, you're around the park. There'll
Yeah.
probably be no reason not to surround the park, do the park. And maybe there's conversations, you know, you have the development coming in with Daniels Cove right there. And there might be some conversations there. That's going to be an increase in traffic. But when you look at some streets, like if you head Briley to Nixon Street, North Nixon Street, where it hits, it's a sand road. It's just a 2-lane sand road.
that's an awful.
But it's a 2-lane sand road, right? But it doesn't, there's no traffic that goes, there's only a couple.
I think it would look better to have it all consistent. I mean, I'm not saying we should do the paving either, but you're gonna have, why not just start and try to get all the roads done with the millings?
And it might
And then
come.
why do we want to, I mean, most people say, we want consistency, and I understand if we don't have the money to pave it all, but I just think that's silly. Say, okay, we're not going to pave this road, we're not going to, this gonna.
And I don't think we'd rule that out to sit there and say, okay, now that we have all the main roads that we have identified that need to be taken care of, okay, do we have any money left over to hit these other roads?
That's the thing. I guess what I'm saying, of course, we have certain roads that need to be done first. It kind of concerned me when everyone was saying, oh, but we're not going to do all the roads.
Yeah, I'm,
If it gets to the point, let's start the road, continue and continue, but I don't want to get to the, we're going to stop here. We're going to keep that road dirt.
Gene, I would say that you're right about uniform. Number 2 millings or asphalt. But I think we're saying that on the list, if we're gonna chip away, because we can't do them all in 1 year.
Of course.
If we're chipping away, that 2-lane sand road may be the one on the bottom of the list.
Okay.
That-
Yeah, that's right. I just kept hearing, oh, we're going to keep some roads dirt. I just kept hearing that.
Well, I mean, but
Going to keep them that way.
even though the millings are on top, they're still dirt roads.
Yeah, but.
They're not an asphalt road, but yes, I understand there's something. Got it. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, man, you made it. You better say your name and address.
My name is Christy Reynolds. I live at 22 North Brock Street. And I think piggybacking on that idea, if you come out with an idea of we're going to do this in 3 phases, and you're saying these are the roads, we've analyzed the roads. Phase 1 is going to be these roads because they're the most traveled, most popular. Then at least people know they have something to look forward to, that they're not going to be left behind. I think that's really what you're saying, right? We don't want to feel like we're left behind. So, and the other thing I would say is, let's keep using common sense. Okay, we know, we can see, we want this town to progress, right? I mean, I've lived here for over 10 years now, and we want this town to continue to get better and better. We can see the writing on the wall. Eventually, it probably is all going to be paved. Honestly, I think it should be. I'm going to make no bones about that. But I like the idea that when you said that if we did the number 2 option, then at least that would be the base. And then that would lead it down to the road, like, farther down, that we would be able to pave it then. I like that idea. Then it doesn't feel like we're wasting time and money with the inevitable, which we know is going to happen. So I would say use common sense. If this is going to help us now in the short term here, and it's going to still benefit us, please do it. Please do it.
Yeah, thank you. Well, okay, anyone else? One more comment?
To talk about the asphalt millings being a good base. When Star Street was done, the company that came in to do that street had to scrape off about 2 or 3 inches to put the paving down. So let's say you're going to do Edgegrove and you throw 2 or 3 more inches of asphalt number 2 on top of that, or Vic, that road's way too high now. So just saying that we can put down the millings and we can use that for paving, I don't know that that's a fair comment, asphalt is more expensive because of all the prep that has to go in it. And if we don't prep the roads to put down the millings, we're gonna be left with the same stuff that we have right now. So it's more than,
So
just throwing it down.
I would say I lived on Edge Grove when I first moved here, and we were part of a road project
Right, so there are many.
our
towns
second
doing it.
year that we lived here. And there was subgrades and subbase and a different type of material that they used. It was clay. They were trying to build it up, and it was between Vic and Mathersmith is the area they did. And I will tell you, probably if you take a Proctor on any of those roads right now, you would hit densities beyond belief that it is compacted tight where you probably could go out there and put asphalt on it right now and it would probably hold up
Oh, yeah.
without any problems. But there are some roads here and I think the East Henson, what they're going to pave, the base is there. It's just going through, scraping it off, getting the crown on it and putting asphalt on it. Same thing.
Right.
And I would just leave that up to Public Works to make that decision to say, maybe we should run our grader down through here and scrape off a couple inches and then put the millings on it and stuff like that. So, I have to rely on the expert, and we have Mike Parker as the expert in handling that stuff.
Yeah.
I think we would all rely on Mike Parker.
And to save money, like they were saying, if you're looking at doing neighborhoods or projects like the Vic, Edge Grove, Mathersmith, there's a lot of rock, there's a lot of material from the other stuff that can be used as bases to build up the roads that are low. So you could come in and scrape those 4 roads down. I think he brought in 7 dump trucks worth of the crushed shell material. There's a lot of material that can be used in other parts of the town. So it'd be great to actually come up with a plan to say, okay, we do this, we can put the fill here, bring the asphalt millings in and continue on and have a more cohesive look at what we're going on with the road.
That's great,
So-
great. And I think Mike Parker works on that a lot. I mean, you don't just put the number 2 millings without prepping it first, some of them that need it, correct?
Yeah, I think what staff is going to look for tonight is good, clear direction from the commission. What I've heard is, so far is, look for funding and also to prioritize the roads that would get paved, for lack of a better term. And if there's anything else, just let us know.
I would like to see from you, Mike, the list, like they said, the 3, 4, 5 phases, whatever phases we have after you find out the budget of these, amount of streets we have up to 5 miles and say, guys, this is the top 10 streets that need to have it immediately. I mean, North Vic, East Vic, those streets, Daniel, Henson, get the list. Then this is the next phase and this is the next phase. And we're going to get there in 3, 4 years, 5 years from now. That's what I'd like to see. Because you got the data on all those streets.
Yeah, the prioritization will take a little bit of time. We'll actually do a street from segment to segment, so that the streets were, like everybody knows, the streets were repaired and built over time, and there's a lot of different materials. And I think those street segments may differ. So, it's going to take a little.
Okay.
Well, and I don't know, but maybe it can somehow get expedited to other projects if we throw the health factor into it. Work that angle on it.
Yeah, well, I don't really want to say much about it, but I have been in conversations with the Briley Farms developers about, them paving some of the streets. When those development agreements were originally approved, the town just didn't have an appetite for paved roads, so we didn't ask.
Right.
So times have changed.
Well, and that's why I say it's different than it was all those years ago. And little by little, I can see the direction it's going to go. It might take some time, but that's where we're going to end up. We're fooling ourselves if we don't think.
So I think we have everyone who showed up tonight at your address, so we can certainly take a look at your roads, see. Goes on. But yeah, let's make a goal on that. Lynn, let's plan on next meeting. We have numbers. We know where we're at budget wise and how much more we can squeeze out or whatever. I think the materials you can get pretty fast. Wherever they're resurfacing a road, you can go grab it, screen it and make it come down. But yeah. Now,
not quite that simple, but it's not as bad as it sounds. Yeah.
Okay. So, I think guys, next meeting, we just, let's have numbers. And then Mike, if you can provide us with a list, and then let's just pull the trigger and let's go. Is that quick enough?
Let's do it.
2 weeks? 2 weeks? Okay. All right.
We're gonna start, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can. Sure. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that as we redo the roads, we use asphalt milling number 2 on everything we do.
I'll second it.
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you. Moving on to Town Commission appointment to the ONP Board of Directors. As everyone knows, Commissioner Rick Pollan left the board, and in that, when leaving, there's a position open at the Oakland Nature Preserve that must be filled by a commissioner, elected representative, or an appointee of the town. So, Elise, are you talking about that tonight?
I can. So I attended my first Oakland Nature Preserve board meeting last night. I proposed to them reducing the number of town representatives on the board. They have no appetite for that. They really want the 2. So I will,
Say it again. They have no appetite for what?
for reducing the number of town representatives. So I will be one representative. We need a commissioner designee. We thought we might have somebody, but they were not interested. So we're back to kind of square one on that.
You said you want one of 2. I thought you were saying you, and I was like, I'm not.
No, they want 2. It could be you.
Okay. Like, whew. All right. So one of 2, but okay, got it. Okay.
So
Any discussion.
here's my question is, 2 of us being on there has always probably been more than we needed anyway. Is there any way we can make that change? I know we've kind of had that one-on-one discussion, but if Nicole was the other one, someone that is actually at the nature preserve, that makes more sense to me. That's kind of what in the very, very beginning again anyway was do that. And the more I thought about it, I've been thinking about this all day, is we have a town manager that's going to be at all the meetings hearing the same thing that another representative is going to hear. So it's kind of like, we don't need 2 to do. And I don't know if we maybe get them up here to kind of give us the reasons of why they think we need to, so we can have that discussion before we do anything, put someone up there that doesn't really need to be there.
Well, and honestly, they've only had one representative for the town, right? For the last, with Rick, because
That's not correct. So past history, it was Dennis Foltz and Fred Merrick, right? And then it was Steve Coons and Commissioner Polland. And so they've had 2 up until recently.
well, that's what I'm saying, but for the last year, because Andy did not attend as the town manager.
Correct. But that's where they really want the 2 representatives. I mean, I can have that discussion with Nicole, but again, we tried to have that last night. Rick was very helpful trying to get me trying to sway them that we only need 1, and the majority of them want 2.
But did they give any reasons for it? Why? That's the thing, is why is it that we need, and what is it that you need from us that we can, because we want to support them in every way we can, obviously. That's not the point of the whole thing. But
How many is there now?
How many representatives from the town? Yeah, they range between 12 and 20, and they have 13 right now. So I think that's part of it. They need to get a little away from that 12 minimum number.
again, I would just think that maybe we have that conversation, not necessarily with the whole board, but maybe with Nicole, who's the director, to kind of get a reasoning of why. And if there's a good reason, there's a good reason, and we find someone. That's what it is. But I'm kind of hard pressed at this point to see why we need to, if you're going to commit to doing that. For example, when Dennis and Frank did it, we never heard from Frank. We always heard from Dennis. when Rick and Steve were doing it, we really didn't hear much from Steve. We never heard from more than one anyway type thing. So now sometimes it's best when two people are hearing something and
Yeah, so their reasoning was that the town manager is more a fiscal oversight for the ONP board, and then the commissioner or their designee is more an actual spokesperson or representative to bring stuff back to the board, even though I did tell them I could fulfill both roles. We really tried last night.
well, we need to just take more time and find somebody then.
There's nothing in charter or any type of agreement with ONP, is there, that says? you
Yes,
had to
there
make-
is. Mhm.
Well, and I know when I met with Nicole and had my discussion with her, she said they reduced their board from 20 to 13. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but Andy hasn't been going for the last over a year. So there's really only been one representative with Rick. I'm struggling, like Commissioner Satterfield on, I understand that they told you, they'd really like to have two. And I know that we have the MOU, the memorandum of understanding with them. There will be two, but I think you're gonna, you want to do it and,
Yeah, I think at this point, because we have the memorandum of agreement with them, and they're the only ones that, they have to agree to come to the table to open that back up as well. And because they're not willing to do that right now, I think we need to work on the second person and then have further talks. So, my recommendation would be to see if any member of the public would like to be the designee for the commission.
Put it out there and see if we get a volunteer.
Anyone?
I just heard a volunteer. Yeah, and that would be, if that is our only option, I think that's our only way that we can do it, is look for a volunteer to come to us rather than try to find somebody to appoint.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to volunteer? ONP Oakland Nature Preserve. You would sit on the board, you would represent the town, part of that. Not a lot. The schedule's not too heavy.
I have a schedule. It's like twice a month, in certain months.
Yeah, there's an executive board meeting when, and it's all virtual. You don't.
Well, not the regular board
and then
meeting.
there's and then there's a regular meeting that's.
Right.
There is on the way in and on the way out, asphalt road to get to the meetings and that in. So there won't be no silica or any dust control.
Want to do it, John?
All right.
Okay. Thank you, John. Maybe we'll do something for you. Return.
Maybe you'll be on the top list. Mike, take note of,
Okay, next.
Okay, so do we need a?
Need a motion.
Motion, okay. Anybody want to make a motion to
The motion to accept Don Hammerstein's appointment as our designee for the Oakland Nature Preserve at his request. Thank you, sir.
second?
and I will second that motion.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Congratulations, John. Lisa can give you all the information. Okay. All right, next, moving on, public forum. Is there anyone have anything to talk about that's not on the agenda tonight? Yes, sir. 3 times.
305 Edge Grove. So I had the unfortunate ability, I had to miss the last town meeting. So at home, I logged in and watched and couldn't hear anything when John was talking to Commissioner Ramos with the microphone. And then about 5 minutes after that, the Zoom link cut out and couldn't see any more of the meeting. So my wonder here, I know the mics, everybody talking to the mic, but you don't have any idea of the level and what people are getting on the other side. We spent a lot of money on the system. Is there any way to get a mic in the center that will just pick up everybody? Because everybody speaks loud enough from around the table for us to hear back here. And maybe try something that doesn't need individual mics for everybody to hear.
Please.
So the only other thing we're going to do at this point, because we have put a lot of money into this system, is get a different mic for the podium that's a little more multi-directional. The problem with these is you have to speak directly into them. So if you're backing up or you're to the side, it's not going to pick that up. And if you can't hear a little echo, you're fine because you're loud, right? If you can't hear an echo when you're talking into it, that means they can't hear you on the other end. And so it's a common thing. If you went back and reviewed the charter review committee meeting from last Monday, you could barely hear anybody because they're not used to speaking into the mics. So it's our equipment is only as good as we use it, and we need to really learn how to utilize it.
Speak up, Sal.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir.
You know what? We do need y'all to tell us that also.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We can't hear you right now.
I want to piggyback on that because I actually went back and I've talked to Elise about this to watch the Charter Review Committee because I wanted to speak with my designee about what happened and things like that. And, you know, like for instance, there were two people sitting and with one mic between them and you can't pick up anything. There's got to be a better way. I know that you're saying we need to learn to use the mics, but the other problem is that there's not often, we see it in these meetings, there's not often a mic for everybody. And I don't know if that's the option, but it's not Elise yelling at us. It's we've got to speak into these mics because you know, before I was on the commission, I would regularly watch the meetings and it wasn't till just recently that I've watched the charter review and I watched a couple of other meetings where we are no better off than we were before because you can't hear anything. And it sickens me to think that we spent all this money on this system and we haven't made any progress as far as what people who are watching from home or watching the meeting out back. And kind of frustrating for me. We spent all this money and we're really not in any better. We got to figure out.
Get it right. We'll get it. Yeah. Anyone
Thank
else?
you for communicating that.
But you can see us good, right? Oh, yes. Got half of it done. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Oh, you got to come up. You got to come up to the mic. You got to speak in the mic for the record.
Very,
Address and name.
very clear and loud.
That's right.
Gary Merrick, 102 North Daniels. I'd like to know what the next step would be to try and get the four-way stop in Daniels.
Okay. Yeah. We'd look towards Public Works and the police department to figure out to warrant that is what would happen. Yes. Thank you, Gary. And that was Henson and Daniels. Okay. Got it. Anyone else? All right. Close the public hearing and bring it back to our new town manager, Elise. Full-fledged.
I think I've done enough speaking, but I'll just try to do a quick recap. So we did have the Charter Review Committee meeting on March 3rd. Yumiko Motley was appointed to be the chair and Sal Murillo was vice chair. I think it was it started kind of slow. We were doing some education with the group on, the charter process. So we had Tom Harmer, who had come and talked to the commission that came, and he and Chris Hawley from FLC came and presented the same information. And then Wade and Stephanie were there as well. So I think there was a lot of legwork. And then we really started getting into kind of what the issues might be that we want to look at. So we'll continue to kind of flesh that out on future meetings. I updated the website so you can go find the charter there for residents that want to look. And then please email me if there's issues that you want us to look at as a group, but we're going to continue to move forward. And at some point we'll come back. Yumika will probably do the update to the commission on kind of where we're at and the topics we're talking about. You have anything? And then also on the ONP, Oakland Nature Preserve side, There is information on the tables about the upcoming Firefly hikes and Earth Day. They're going to do a lot of Firefly hikes between March 21st and April 25th. So hopefully everybody can get out and see the fireflies. And then on Earth Day is April 26th. They're starting a new Uplands guided hike. It's Journey into the Uplands. So there's going to be people trained to give those hikes. So it's kind of a cool thing. They're doing a soft opening on the same day as Celebration Among the Oaks, which I let them know. But after that, there will be specific days you can go check that hike out, which I think will be pretty cool. So that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, Gabby, anything? No, congratulations.
Thanks. The audit is coming to a wrap. It'll be done, well, the preliminary work will be done on March 31st. And then the auditors will be in town April 14th, the week of April 14th, to actually execute the audit. So I think they will be shooting for a May 1st presentation. So probably any of the commission meetings in May will be the report for the audit. So a little earlier than normal. Normally we do it in June, but they want to do it earlier. It might even be April. I'm not sure. I'm just making things up right now, but.
Okay.
You fooled all of us, Gabby, don't.
I know for sure they'll be here April 14th. I know that, but I don't know when they're going to finish. I'm thinking it'll be May.
Thank you. How about you, Mr. Parker?
Ooh, how do you top that? I want some of that, whatever she's got. So I've decided that for the rest of my tenure here, I will try to submit a written public works report. As you see, there's 5 topics tonight, and try to get those to you in writing and try to keep everybody up to speed as much as possible.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Brad, you have anything good in the planning world since you're here? You got to push the button there. Sorry, nobody can hear you.
There, nothing to add for y'all this evening. But again, if you have any questions of me, please give me a call.
Thank you, Brad. Lou?
All right, so I'll speak up. You can all hear me, but it's been about 30 days since I've been here. I got my assessments down and we're working on a lot of, we got a great team. We have the Celebration Amongst the Oaks are coming up, some really exciting stuff that's going to be happening there. We started a new series. I don't know if you're all on Facebook, but it's called In the West Orange Chairs, which our mayor was the first person in the West Orange Chairs. We had another episode drop today, but it'll be every Friday. And it takes the community to really pull this one together because I want to get some stories from everybody, especially people that have been here for quite some time. Talk about the past, the present, and the future is what the West Orange Chairs are about. So with your help, we can probably get some pretty cool stories. I know Mike Satterfield and I were just talking about one. To get him in the chair tomorrow, hopefully upload it for Friday. So we'll see what he's talking about. But other than that, that's it.
Thank you. John, you can report on ONP when you in the chairs. You know? Mel, anything from you? HR? Okay. Lynn?
Yes, at the Arts and Heritage Center, we currently have the exhibit with Dave Minichiello and Joe Warren, who are longtime Disney Imagineers. And I'm sure you've seen them around town on Fridays painting plein air. They've become so popular. I've had so many residents come in and say, can they paint my house? Can they paint my house? So they're making a list and they're painting a lot of the homes in Oakland, which is really cool. And we just sent a call for art out for our next exhibit, which is going to be called Life in the Pet Lane. And as Oakland residents, we all know Oakland loves its pets, not just dogs, but pets. So we're doing an exhibit on that. If you have photography skills, art skills you'd like to submit, by all means, we love highlighting local artists and photographers. Or if you know of an artist, feel free because I'm trying my best to grow our list
of artists that we send the call for art out to. That exhibit will open on May 17th, which is also the same day as our upcoming car stroll. If you remember last year, we had a car stroll. It was very popular. We're going to have another one. And so the exhibit will open the same day as that. And that's it.
Thank you, Lynn. And Lynn, I meant to mention at the last meeting, you know, every meeting, when we see the employment anniversaries, Lynn, you have been here for 12?
Well, actually, so I've actually been here 12 and a half years, but I was contracted for several months until Dennis Foltz talked me into going on to payroll full time. And so my anniversary date with going on payroll is February 11th, but I actually was hired in October. So 12 and a half years.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. 12 and a half
And
years.
love it.
It's a long time. And then,
Me and Parker are head
Yeah.
to head.
yeah, and I meant also wanted to mention Stacy at the police department. 14, I think it was, right?
Yes.
14 years for Stacy at the police department. So she started out as a town clerk back in the day. So yeah, remembers her. So anyways, congratulations. Thank you. How about you, Chief?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Can't hear you.
All right, thank you. All right, Commissioner Keller.
Evening.
Commissioner Satterfield.
Just have one request, and that's for John Hammerstein. When you go home and tell Max what you volunteered for, please leave my name out of it. Other than that, I'm good.
All right, Commissioner Ramos.
I just want to thank Elise for signing me up for the leadership class. And I think that it would be a great class for you, Commissioner Keller, or anybody. I mean, continuing education. This is like the 5th one or 7th one I take. You know, you get to do a lot of municipal mindstorming with the rest of the other commissioners and mayors around the state, and there's a lot of great speakers that come. So it would be beneficial for you guys to join one of these. And another reminder is Scouting of America. Our town is bronze sponsor for the Golden Eagle, West Orange Golden Eagle Award ceremony. That is going to happen April 10th in Ocoee. And I'd like for everybody in the town, whoever can join. I know the table is going to get filled up. Elise is going to send out an email to everybody to see who can join us for the Golden Eagle to support our Scouting of America for Central Florida. This year, we're going to have Troop 210 from Winter Garden, going to do the flag ceremony. Typically, it's Troop 145 here in Oakland, who's been doing it for years. This time around, we're going to have Winter Garden's Troop 210 do it, and it would be nice. The people who are going to get the award this year is going to be Joe Barsh from State Farm and Shannon Till from State Farm. And also Matt McGrew, the fire chief, retired fire chief from Winter Garden and Winter Garden Rotary president. They will be getting, they're the recipients of the Golden Eagle Award, April 10th.
Thank you. And the only thing for me is I appreciate everyone tonight coming and expressing your opinions. It really helps us out up here to hear you. And we do take it seriously, what you say. So we do appreciate it. So continue to be active and continue to speak up and speak out and help guide us. It's your town. We're just kind of helping steer it a little bit for you. All right. Other than that, for me, I'm good. Sal?
I'm good. If all hearts and minds are satisfied, it is 8:40,
Close.
44. Close enough.
Thank you.
Move it along.